Good morning, Mpact family. Thank you. My name is Kammy Horne, and I am the CEO of Mpact. And this is an incredible sight. I know that we're going to be seeing all of you all week, but looking out here, seeing so many brilliant minds gathered together here in beautiful Portland at the downtown Hilton to celebrate 30 years of Mpact community and innovation. This week, you'll hear from thought leaders, advocates, planners, artists, engineers, community builders, and maybe even make a new friend or two. You'll learn, share, connect, and spark ideas that will carry on long after we leave Portland. So as you can see in the program and the mobile app, this morning kicks off with a powerful stage of passionate leadership, including those who have built this organization. Mpact has grown and evolved so much over the past 30 years, but one thing has never changed, and that is our belief is that when people come together with purpose, we can transform communities for the better. Let's honor this legacy that has brought us here and lean boldly into what's next. Thank you all for being part of this journey. Let's make it a phenomenal week. Let's impact the future together. And I will now welcome to the stage my friends and this morning's sponsor representatives from David Evans & Associates, Jim Hencke and Jenna Hori.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Hencke with David Evans & Associates, where I help lead our land development design studio.
And I'm Jenna Hori. I manage the Oregon Transit and Rail Engineering Group.
We are so proud to represent DEA as sponsors of Mpact. The mission of DEA and the mission of Mpact perfectly align in terms of creating livable communities with transit.
We're here representing DEA because we're members of the National Steering Committee. I'm very excited I was able to join that group this year. I'm really proud of the amazing professionals we have at DEA and the transit group. It's a really great group of people and I'm proud to work with. They've worked on pretty much all of the MAX light rail lines here in Portland and commuter and streetcar lines, going back to the first light rail project here that opened in 1986, which predates my time at DEA, but not my time here on this earth. DEA has also worked on transit projects all around the country. You'll see some slides behind us showing kind of some of the projects we're particularly proud of. And in addition to transit projects, we do a lot of multimodal and placemaking type work that just enhances our transportation network and communities. Yeah.
So together with all of you, we're really excited to be planning and engineering a brighter future. Thank you for being here together at Mpact with us.
Okay, and with that, I'll introduce our first official speaker, Councilor Christine Lewis. She represents Metro District 2. She serves on committees that cover transportation, housing, parks, and open spaces, and does a lot of advocacy work for the community. She serves on a lot of boards and nonprofits, including the Portland Opera, which is fun, and just has done a lot of great work for the community. So thank you. Welcome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning. What an incredible opportunity to be amongst the first to welcome you to Portland. I know that many of you were at OMSI yesterday. Many of you were out in communities seeing our streets, seeing our buildings, seeing our river, seeing our rain. But I'm still going to say this is the first day and I get to be your welcome. Again, my name is Christine Lewis and I serve on Portland's unique elected regional government Metro Council. My district is really big and diverse. My district covers deep southwest Portland all through the suburbs, getting out to Oregon City and Happy Valley. A few of you had a chance to visit yesterday, the Willamette Falls. I heard that was like a bus of 12 people and it filled up right away. So those of you who saw Willamette Falls, you saw the heart of my district. It's a beautiful place. The communities I represent are served by light rail. We've got the Orange Line and the Green Line. My community is also served by bus. Some of my members, some of my residents have good, reliable service, while others who live in my neighborhood have to wait about an hour for the bus. No matter where you're coming from in this country, no matter what your city or town is like, you could probably find something that parallels it in my part of Portland. We all have challenges, and we've all experienced success. My district is also the last mile of our 82nd Avenue high-capacity FX Transit project, which we're currently planning. And for those of you who read the local news, yes, I am fully in support of more BAT lanes. We are moving, we are shaking, and we are meeting the challenges of this moment. But transit is just one window into the people I represent. My district is also where you will find 8 communities that have been funded by Metro's Affordable Housing Bond. These are dollars that are on track to complete over 5,000 new homes, 1,300 more than our original promise to voters. And these homes are affordable to our neighbors who need the help the most, our neighbors who make less than 60% of median income. Metro's affordable housing program is scaffolded on the success that we had incorporating affordable housing into our TOD criteria. And the TOD criteria we currently use, yes, it does center affordable housing, but we also have pushed and innovated to promote efficiency, climate, and workforce equity goals. All of this is to say that those of you in this room are innovators, and the ripple effects of your projects may have impact well beyond your wildest dreams. Take time this week to share big ideas, connect with your team, stay up past your bedtime. For those of you on the East Coast, stay up way past your bedtime, and enjoy our remarkable restaurants and bars. Side note, I did just check. It looks like 2023's James Beard Award-winning Con restaurant has a few tables left for tomorrow night. You can get there on TriMet. I think it's lines 12 and 19. That'll get you there in just a few minutes across the river. Metro has a long history of going back 30 years to the first Rail Volution in 1995. I want to thank my predecessors on council and my agency staff who had to prioritize this work and really made space for these precious few days where we can develop and build community leaders who focus on the real and personal impacts of transit. Our agency is now hard at work meeting the challenges of the moment, and we are in it. We are planning for our future through increased investments in placemaking, and we're incorporating creative practices into the arts and other planning processes. Metro Council is championing work to address extreme heat and build community resilience through our cooling corridors study. So much more work to do there. Then there's the work ahead of the future of transit in this region. I've already mentioned 82nd Avenue. We're also looking at enhanced service on TV Highway, extending the Montgomery streetcar, and really making sure every corridor we plan is transit ready. All of this in the shadow of federal uncertainty, our shutdown, federal programs, and uncertain goalposts. And we are also meeting with community as they're hearing about potential transit cuts here in Portland. The conversation is shifting every day, and it's leaders connected to community that help chart the course for the future. This is a leadership moment for all of us. Transit, safe mobility is central to our communities. Transportation people can't keep just hanging out with transportation people. We have to show up with the housing people, the economic development people, the healthcare people, the social service people, the education people. To put a fine point on it, you are the smart people in this room who can have answers of where people can go and, most critically, how they can get there when SNAP benefits run out in a week and our communities are looking for new places for help. Transit providers are trusted. You say you'll show up at 6:27 a.m. and you're there. And if you're not, you're running late, you've got a really good excuse, and you send a message. And that trust is built by individuals. And here in Portland, we put our trust in TriMet and GM Sam Desue. So, TriMet Director Sam Desue brings more than 27 years of public and private transportation experience to the role. He started with TriMet in 2019. I've enjoyed working with him, including as the appointed GM starting in 2021. His background includes service as the Deputy CEO at Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, and he has executive experience with our friends to the north, including Pierce Transit, Community Transit of Washington, SeaTac Airport, and Seattle Monorail. Sam was a 10-year veteran of the US Army, and he is committed to Portland and his family. Now, larger than life, I get to welcome Sam Desue with TriMet.
Hello and welcome to Mpact Transit Plus Community 2025 here in beautiful Portland, Oregon. I'm Sam Desue Jr., General Manager of TriMet, and on behalf of our entire team and the community we proudly serve, I want to extend a warm welcome to each of you. We are thrilled to have you here. This conference is about more than just projects. It's about people. It's about how transit connects communities, how it anchors opportunity, fuels economic vitality, and opens doors for people from all walks of life. At TriMet, that's what keeps us going, even through challenging times. The past few years have tested all of us, but it's the community outside the window, the riders, the small businesses, the families trying to get to work, school, or care that keeps us coming back, working harder, and thinking bigger. And as we've rebuilt, we've also reimagined. Whether it's launching zero-emission buses, investing in fare equity, building out our frequent Express FX line, or delivering award-winning community engagement, we've been focused on doing the work well and doing it with purpose, because that's what people deserve. We're proud to host this conference because it all started here 30 years ago, and we are so thankful to Congressman Blumenauer for bringing us all together. He knew it then, and we know it now, that Portland is a living laboratory for how we can build great places to live around great transit. And you'll see that in action from our partnerships with local nonprofits to how we're helping shape growth through transit-oriented development. But we also know that no agency, no city, no leader has all the answers. That's why impact matters. This is not only just a time for you to learn, but a time for you to teach others what you know. It's also a time to recharge, to challenge assumptions, and most importantly, to make the connection that helps us leap forward together. And hey, while you're here, enjoy the ride. In fact, I still remember a moment early in my career riding a late night bus. One passenger got on with a cello and another with a bag of groceries, and the driver knew them both by name. That's what transit is, a rolling community full of stories. And it's our job to keep that community moving safely, reliably, and with heart. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you do. And thank you for believing like we do, that transit is essential, that community is everything, and that the future we're building can be better, brighter, and more connected than ever. Welcome to Mpact PDX 2025. Let's get to work.
Thank you to the whole team at TriMet for your partnership. It's now my opportunity to welcome Portland's Mayor, Keith Wilson. I first met Keith in 2019 or 2020, before he was mayor. I'd like to think before he thought he was going to be mayor, because he was one of the few business leaders who stuck with our transportation coalition to the end in advocating for more transportation funding on the ballot. Keith went into debates, voter forums, neighborhood associations, mind you, most of this was on Zoom, and he got hard questions. He was there night after night, always with a smile on his face. Keith is willing to step up on a number of hard issues: housing and homelessness, where we are in Portland right now, and of course, transportation. It's exactly the spirit and resolve we need in our mayor in 2025, and we are all better off for his leadership. Keith was born and raised in North Portland. He was one of 5 children. He went to Roosevelt High School, PCC, OSU, and earned an MBA at the University of Portland. He began his career in TV, I believe at NBC, which might be where that smile comes from. And then he came back to Portland, and he ran a business called Titan Freight Services. And he was at the helm of that organization for 20 years. It's a big job trying to run a transportation company that goes across multiple states and an entire region. And he did it while also eliminating all fossil fuels from the Portland facility. And he was a pioneer in heavy-duty electric vehicles. And when I say heavy-duty electric vehicles, they had electric cabs for 18-wheelers first at Keith's facility. He's long been an advocate for high-speed rail. He serves on the boards of the US High-Speed Rail Coalition, as well as the International Road Federation. And as a civic leader, Wilson has played a pivotal role in Word is Bond, an organization dedicated to meeting Portland's future leaders and giving them resources. Keith became mayor at an interesting time in the city of Portland. Our charter reform had passed, so on day one, not only was he stepping foot into a new office as a political outsider, he was setting up a new form of government with a city manager and a new 12-person council. And he has surprised us all with his grace and his smarts. And every single day, he is out in Portland connecting with our residents. He meets each challenge in stride, and I know he has a lot to share with us this morning. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Portland. Liquid sunshine is what we call it, so just smile and you'll get through it. Thank you, Councilor Lewis. It is a pleasure working with all of my Metro colleagues. They have been tremendous supporters to Portland on this journey that we have before us. And then Representative Blumenauer, can't see. Sir, good morning. How are you doing? You know, I've followed Rail Volution for decades. I am a passionate believer in transit, all things transit. Now it's Mpact. I have tried to go to this conference for years. They either wouldn't let me in or it wouldn't work on my schedule or whatever the case may be. So to have the honor to be speaking today and this be the first time I've been able to join you, it is an honor, and I say that from the deepest of my heart. And thank you for what you've done and the leadership that you've put in the genesis of this organization, which is critical for us to move our country forward. It is gatherings like this that are the most impactful and the most important for us to do. You know, transportation drives our nation. We just don't seem to value it as we should. It always surprises me, but when we add transit and the revitalization or the renaissance that it always creates, always boggles my mind because it always becomes accretive. We always have a better, more just society when we wrap it and center it in transit. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I've always been such a promoter, such a passionate person for all things transit, because it always improves all of our lives. Of course, I couldn't begin today without talking about the albatross that we're addressing here in Portland and across our nation. We have a federal government that has become antagonistic, and we talk about these war-ravaged words and the hyperbole and this conversation that our nation is having that is not helping us move our nation forward. But you're joining people with ambition that are looking for partnership here today. And you're joining a city that has had tremendous amount of accomplishments over this last 50 years. And we're going to continue to tackle all these challenges head on. And I really will center this conversation on Representative Blumenauer. When you look at the city and how we've grown, the sleepy little burg in the 60s. And then you move to the 70s, the first transit mall, the first bus transit mall in the United States. And that was really your colleagues through city council, your drive. And then we added the first light rail, the first MAX in the United States, and now it really drives our regional economy, and housing and businesses are growing faster along that transit-oriented design and the transit-oriented villages. But that wasn't enough. We then added streetcar. Streetcars were once ubiquitous across our nation. We removed almost all of them. We still see the tracks underneath the asphalts or the cobbles that we drive on throughout many of our cities. It was Representative Blumenauer and his colleagues who saw the need to bring it forward without federal funding, because our federal government, when it comes to transit, has always been slow to act. Representative Blumenauer and his colleagues were not slow to act. They saw the need and they built this system on their own dime. But he didn't rest there. Becoming a representative, he went to the federal government and then started to create funding for that. Can you say innovative design when it's something that we had 100 years ago? I'm always surprised that if we want to look to our future, we simply need to look to our past. Between Portland and Eugene 100 years ago, we had an all-electric rail line with 24 scheduled departures per day. 100 years ago. And today, we still don't have that line to Eugene, our second most populated city in the state. I say this because it makes me sad, because I'm thinking, to what effort have we put forward to move our country forward? We were always the most innovative, most dynamic, most ahead of our time in the world. And we still can be. I don't want us to lose that vision. We talk about high-speed rail, and I'm a huge proponent of that. This is one of the reasons why Rail Volution was always one of those conferences I always wanted to go to, because we have to have that vision. You have to have that recognition that high-speed rail, but transportation isn't just transformative, it's exponential. When you invest in extraordinary technology, it always ends in the benefit of your community. I look to the world now in our competition, and I look to Morocco with a country that's 1/2 of the GDP of the US, and they have high-speed rail transforming their nation, and it hurts when I say those things. When I look at China spending over $1 trillion and have wrapped their arms around high-speed rail and transportation, using $140 billion per year to build their nation forward with clean, efficient transportation, I say, why can't we have that? And I'm confident we have. Representative Blumenauer has worked extremely hard to invest in that, and we're slowly getting there. We're going to continue to invest. And I keep going back to the incrementalism that we have to focus on. I often use this anecdote. I looked at the Empire State Building, one of our most iconic buildings in the world. And I also marvel that we built it in a year. It was on time, on task, and on budget. But it was through this iterative process. It took many months to build just the first 6 floors. By the time they finished it a year later, they were building a floor a year. So I say this to each and every one of you, do not be disheartened. You have to stay vigilant. To accomplish great things that are unrealistic, you must be relentless in your task. It's what we're doing here in Portland. We are the example. As you walk out this door and you see that transit mall, we will continue to invest with you. There are some headwinds that we are experiencing. You are a part of a renaissance in our nation here in Portland. It's called the Albina Vision Trust. It is a group of individuals who have said that we're going to reverse the harms of our past. Our interstate system ripped a neighborhood apart. Albina Vision Trust is building it back. Through Representative Blumenauer and his colleagues, they created the IIJA, a way to build back our communities. We are going to cap a part of our freeway and build back that community that was dug and built and removed asunder. We had $450 million recently that was awarded through our Reconnecting Communities. Through this administration, they decided that it wasn't a worthy cause to invest in. We had $38 million that we were going to invest to create that relationship with our community and build it back better. The one big beautiful bill removed that. Yes, we are all very disheartened in Portland, and you and your communities are experiencing that same sort of concern. The funding is extremely important for the projects that we want to move forward. Again, I want to let you know that think of the Empire State Building as your North Star. It's going to take time to build those first 6 floors, to lay that first track, but you cannot be disheartened. You must move forward. Transportation is our future, and we will be the leaders of that future. These are difficult times. We know that. We must continue to focus on what we can do to improve our economies and our communities while we get through these days ahead. In Portland, we continue to invest in housing and looking at different housing and zoning on how we can build that housing. But when we look to our transit along those corridors that we've built, you'll see wonderful apartment buildings, middle income, low income, affordable housing being built along those tracks. That's our way to build generative housing back into our economy, which is something that we all need in our economies so much. I know that I continue to just be a passionate believer in transportation. I'm happy to say that one of the first things that I was able to do as mayor is to create a department that's housed by our Portland Bureau of Transportation that's going to focus on high-speed rail. Because when we have that anchor at the end of that journey, all the things of an unbalanced transportation system starts to fall into place. We take our unbalanced system and we begin to balance it. We take our overloaded roadways and our overloaded runways and we start to balance that system with city rail and other local rails and active transportation that helps us move our community forward. This is a good day. It's a good day because I want you to be here to center this with us, to enjoy what you're going to vision and see in our city. And you're going to take some of these ideas back to your city. And in turn, I want to take some of these ideas that you have through our best practices and learn from you and continue to create this iterative process in our United States and move our community forward. You know, there was one thing that was always sort of a clarion call to me. When Secretary Buttigieg was being confirmed before Congress as our US DOT secretary, he said something that resonated to me, and I have not forgot it today. He says, I believe in an America where you don't have to own a car to prosper. And I believe that that is one of the reasons that you join us here today. Together, we can shape the future that we want. We can make cities that are more affordable, that are more inclusive, that are more climate resilient. And we can do it on a bigger scale with the federal government as our partner. I constantly say in these difficult months that we've had that there's always room at the table for a federal government that wants to share our vision and our values. I often say, though, that if you're going to create troubles, if you're not going to lend us a hand, then get out of the way. Because we have to work together to move our country, our states, and our cities forward. We must continue to forge ahead despite these challenging times, these circumstances in this current moment, knowing that there are many ups and downs on the path to achieving lasting change. And that generational accomplishment really has already been set forward, has already been given to us with the North Star that the representative and his colleagues have lent to us for this last 40 and 50 years in Portland, a city that I'm so very proud of. You and your efforts and your partners in joining us today are that clarion call, that North Star that I want to partner with to make sure that we continue to move our city, our state, our nation, our world forward. And we must do it together, and we must do it centered with transportation as a foundational tool for us to provide for our communities that we need as we move into this century. So thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure having you in Portland. I'm happy to be your host. If there's anything my team or I can do to make your stay more pleasant, we are at your disposal. Thank you so much for this time.
"1996. Where were you? What was the state of transit? DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit, had just built out their first light rail line. How do I remember 96 so specifically? Because weeks after it opened, my middle school took a field trip just to ride the DART. Got on at a station, rode, stepped off, had a snack, got back on, and rode back. Let's do more of that. But I'm talking about 1996 for a reason. Many of you had gathered here the year before for the first ever Rail Volution hosted in Portland, Oregon. That was not a mistake. It was hosted here because of Earl. 1996, Rail Volution was in DC. That was also not a mistake, because that 1996 year was the year we sent Earl to DC. Earl is a friend of everybody in this room, whether you know him or not. Many of you have worked for him. I'm looking at 2 or 3 of you specifically. You were on his payroll. But the rest of you have been working for him for your entire career. You just didn't know it. The ideas that Earl put into the fabric of the transit community are those that we have built around, and we owe a lot to him. As the mayor pointed out, transit is so core to our community, but I would say Earl is so core to the transit community. A little bit about Earl. There's the bow tie. There are those electric yellow, neon green, and hot pink bicycle pins. And he quit giving them out when he left Congress in January of this year. So somewhere there's a warehouse full of them, and they're saying, where's our order? It normally comes in this time. But beyond the bow tie, beyond the pins, he's a person who cares deeply about his family, about his friends, about his community. You'll find him in the cookie line. I think he has a sweet tooth. He founded the Congressional Bike Caucus because he still gets around in the most sustainable way he can. He's come home to be with his family and be with his community, and he is willing to share a little bit of his wisdom with us this morning. In his retirement from Congress, he started up a new gig because he's always busy. He's advising at Portland State University just down the road. And he's leading head-on into challenges in the education field. It's a great honor to have him join us this morning, and I look forward to learning, because every single time I hear him speak, I learn something new. Thank you, Congressman, for being with us.
Whoa. Thank you, Christine. Is our mayor great or what? This man is a believer. He walked into, shall we say, a challenging time in Portland and helped organize and lead a government unlike any in the United States, never been tried anywhere. And he's committed to making it work. Now, it's been noted that I am no longer in Congress. For the first time in 50 years, I'm not in an official capacity. So that gives me a certain freedom. Which I'm trying to exit in a couple of new gigs here. But one of the things I can do is just tell you the real scoop. Everybody comes and, puts a rosy hue on it. Let's talk about the real situation in Portland. I'm not running for re-election again. I can tell you the truth. Welcome to the hellhole that is Portland. Did you find anybody this morning that would accept American currency? Did you look at some of the last-minute additions to the program? Naked yoga on streetcars? Welcoming the National Guard to your neighborhood, which we did in Portland. 40,000 people showed up to give a civil response. A few people in plastic frog outfits. But I was so proud of how our community responded. We're so chill, we gave them a lot of expensive donuts. Portland is really where young people come to retire. I mean, people here read Miranda rights to chickens before they're fricasseed. How many of you have seen Portlandia? Okay. That's good. It took me 3 episodes before I realized it was a parody and not a documentary. I swear to God, I marched in the allergy pride parade. Well, you can be forgiven if you're confused. Our goal is still a livable community. Our goal is to empower people with choices about how they live, how they move, how they relate to one another. And I couldn't be more proud of the evolution that has taken place from Rail Volution to Mpact to adapt to the challenges of today. And you all are here as symbolic of where we are, and more important, about where we are going. Now, we've had some tough times in Portland, to be sure. There are a few blocks you can see in the downtown that are challenging. But you can take a 10-minute walk in any direction and find some of the most livable neighborhoods anywhere in America. People here are committed to those goals and those values. The goal is to give people choices. And we've done that in terms of transportation. The aerial tram, which was so controversial at the time that there were actually some people on the city council who wanted to stop construction because there were a few $1 million cost overrun. True story. Some of us pointed out that if they did that, they'd have to return all the federal money. And luckily they continued. And it is now an icon for our community. It opened up dozens of acres on the lower campus, and it's the most spectacular view in Portland on those 8 or 10 days a year when it's clear. At the foot of that aerial tram is the largest bike corral in North America, leading directly to the largest bridge in North America with no automobile traffic. Bikes, pedestrians, streetcar, buses. It's been a remarkable addition to our community. Those of you who were at OMSI last night witnessed the most dense transit area in Oregon, and it's opening up opportunities for 17 acres of new housing, linking people who are involved in that marvelous educational opportunity. They're re-engaging with Native Americans and their historic connection to the river. There are 18 miles of bike paths that radiate out, going all the way to the Mount Hood Forest. And a network where I'd like to think that we helped point the future for bicycle transportation. But that's not really the future. Bicycles have been an important part of transportation in this country for well over 100 years. It was the bicyclists that started the Good Roads movement, right? The Wright brothers founded the aviation industry in Hartford, manufacturing in the United States with bicycles. And there's a little delivery company in Seattle, UPS, that started out as a bicycle messenger. This is part of who we are. Moving up the river, the mayor alluded to the Albina Vision Trust, a community-directed effort empowering the dispossessed from the Albina community, largely Portland's Black community, that are committed to healing the scars that were left by indiscriminate federal investment with renewal and a tragically ill-designed freeway. But we're working to bring that back. We're sending a message to our community and to others that we can, in fact, do this. And it really would be nice if the federal government honored their commitments to us, and we think we're right and we'll be at it, and ultimately they'll come around. But we're focusing on things that we can control. Don't get all caught up in what the federal government takes away or hoops they force you to jump through. The federal government in this administration will do the right thing only by accident. And you can't count on them. What you can count on is that we control the land use. We price the curb. We can establish a policy framework that skips over the federal government. As I say, ultimately they will catch up with us, like they did with the reintroduction of the modern streetcar. We figured out a way here to do it, and then we implemented a federal policy in small starts, and today we have 23 streetcar systems around the country. And you did that. We did that. Proven technology that is low cost and high impact and harnesses those land uses. I think we ought to be inspired by what's happened in our community with public broadcasting. This Congress insanely eliminated the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. This is something I've dedicated my congressional career to, creating the Congressional Public Broadcasting Caucus, working to ensure those resources were there. You know, what they're doing is not going to make a difference ultimately in Seattle or San Francisco or Boston or Portland. We'll have our public broadcasting, but it is attacking rural and small town America. Alaska relies more on public broadcasting than any state in the Union. They broadcast in 5 languages. Appalachia, the Intermountain West. These people rely on public broadcasting. Where would we have been during the pandemic without educational TV? During disasters, public broadcasting provides emergency communication. I'm proud to say in Portland, we have seen every single dollar replaced by private donations and then some. This is what we can do when we're committed, when we work together, that we are willing to make those investments, whether it's public broadcasting or in terms of what we're going to do with transportation. We're not going to be deterred. I personally am inspired by what I am seeing around the country where people are stepping up and following through. I'm inspired by who I see in this room. I had a chance to meet a number of old friends, but I've been overwhelmed by new people that are part of this Rail Volution Mpact movement, where we control the land uses, we control the policy. Look what's happened in New York. The federal government was determined to destroy it, and there were some people in New York who weren't having their act together. But what's happened? They continue. Congestion is reduced, air pollution is down, more money for transit. It works as designed. Despite all those obstacles that people took this unpopular stand for congestion pricing, it works. I think there are lessons here to be learned in other parts of the world, but in the United States, people have stepped up to do their part. As I say, we control the curb, we control the land use, we set up the policies. The late Don Shoup, the parking guru, the high price of free parking. Don's pointed out, all we had to do is simply stop requiring parking and price it right. It can have a transformational effect. Well, I will get off my high horse here. I can go on at great length about things that I care about. But I really appreciate your engagement in what I think is the most important part of revitalizing American communities. Having a chance to give people choices, having a chance to invest in the future, and having the courage to step forth in new and creative ways. So many of you have been a part of that effort and are a part of it now. That is what's going to save us from the madness, because we're right. A friend of mine, Hal Harvey, sort of the guru of innovation in energy, Hal pointed out the naysayers cannot overcome engineering, economics, and facts. That speaks volumes. And ultimately, the volumes that are spoken are going to make a difference. We're going to see in 2 weeks the Trump stunt to try and kill the Gateway Project in New York. Some of you are familiar with what that is. I had one of the most terrifying experiences of my life one night walking that tunnel in the rain, watching the leaks, looking at the decayed infrastructure. And they're playing fast and loose with the economy, not just of New York and New Jersey. 100 million people rely on that artery. And they think they're going to get political advantage by killing that project. Well, I have a suspicion that voters in New Jersey might have something to say about that in 2 weeks. I think Mikey Sherrill is going to win by more than she would have. And it's not just in New Jersey. In Virginia, where the ghost of Doge continues, amongst the largest concentration of federal employees in the United States, I think they've noticed the wrecking crew, and they're going to be heard on Election Day as well. But that's our challenge, to make sure that our commitments are made, that our voices are loud, that we are heard not just in elections, but in the work that you are doing around the country. It's transformational. It can't happen soon enough. And I appreciate deeply your commitment to our future and look forward to being your partner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much to our founder, former Congressman Earl Blumenauer. We appreciate your words. We appreciate your dedication. Thank you. And now, without further ado, I am pleased to welcome to the stage Dr. Bev Scott, who will not only help us to think about the past of Rail Volution, as she is someone who has been involved in this organization for a very long time and a former chair of the board, but also looking ahead to the work that she is doing with youth and infrastructure. So please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Bev Scott.
Thank you, Kammy. Thank you, Kammy. Okay. Now, this is to show you just my age. Everybody's been sending me little notes, say, Bev, the clicker is right up there by you'll get the clicker, that's it. Well, first, I have to say this. Where is that? Where did that congressman go? Okay, we got to give him, there he is right there. We got to give him another round of applause. I'm telling you, truly a visionary and really always such an honor. Such an honor. That's right. Yes, embarrass him. Woo. Oh, that's weird. I tell you this, so we embarrass him. So thank you very much for the warm introduction and the invitation to personally participate in this morning's plenary. And I'm extremely excited. I'm going to be up here for about 10, 15 minutes, but then I really have what's the coup de grace for up here, which is really going to be some just amazing young people, young adults who are 18 to 25 years old that are representative of communities that I'm sure are in the House. And they're going to be the ones to show you what they've been thinking about in terms of mobility solutions. So anyway, that excitement is coming up, but just bear with me for a little bit. For me this morning, a lot of nostalgia and memories in the room. both professionally and personally. It feels really like coming home. Great to see so many dear colleagues that I have known for decades. I'm not giving out any numbers up here, okay? And I'm absolutely, too, loving all the new faces and new friends. A shout out for Pottstown. That's it. Whoa, Pottstown, go! And I'm also keeping my eyes out for a couple of our Introducing Youth to American Infrastructure alumni who are with TriMet. TriMet, can I get a hello for TriMet, okay? And I'm looking forward to seeing them and getting my hugs, because when you get my age, you get the good hugs, okay? So for me, 20 plus years, I wasn't here right at the beginning, but 20 plus years, Mpact Rail Volution, it was the cutting edge for me in terms of a professional association. And what did I get out of Mpact Rail Volution that I didn't get other places? What it did for me was to tremendously expand my lens so that I could see the bigger picture of how and what we do shapes and in large measure really determines opportunity, outcomes, and results for people and communities. In many instances, things that last for generations. So I've always told people that, I fell into this transportation 45 years ago. Long story, but anyway, 45 plus years ago. But then with the young people I have the opportunity to work with, I say, but you should ask me why I stayed. And the reason I've stayed is because I've been blessed to be in the business of community building all these years. So to take nothing away from all the big things that move, all the bricks and mortar, for our sector, and for all of these critical infrastructure sectors, which we're going to have a little fun with in a minute, that's really what it's all about. It's all about community. And it's all about the kind of decisions, what the decisions are that are made that drive the outcomes in those communities. And the decisions, as we know, that can literally build, hamper, or destroy communities and the lives of the people that live in them, okay? The other thing that Mpact did for me, Rail Volution, was that it expanded my professional network to include people, organizations, roots, tops, boots, appointed, elected, multidisciplinary, cross-sectoral. It was like I had arrived, okay? I wasn't just smelling diesel fumes, okay? This is true. There were times that I felt like to myself that there was nothing else that existed. And for me, that's what Rail Volution did, okay? Gave me connected dots, new ways of thinking and doing and partnering and collaboration of what was possible and who else was out there. And most importantly, it provided me with the opportunity to learn, to share, and to grow with values-aligned colleagues and a community of practice that had the leadership, the courage, and the commitment to openly recognize, work, and learn together with, that was one of our big ones, we learned how to work with, not for communities, with, and in communities to address systemic issues of inequality, lack of access and opportunity that remains our nation's biggest challenge and unfinished business, okay? So now they keep saying she's gonna go to these, okay? So I love this slide here, the future is now. But I really start out with it because, everybody talks about the future like the future is coming. The point here is that the future is here, and it is really here. So when I thought about what I would say this morning on our 30th anniversary, I'm like just about everybody else you heard so far. I decided to just speak from the heart and share some personal reflections and food for thought that I sincerely hope will resonate. Because there's all this, there's plenty smart people all over the room, okay? And above all, infuse us. Now, y'all don't need as much infusing, but we need some infusing, okay? Now I'm saying, with a sense of urgency to personally act, and please do not forget about the power of one, in our everyday lives and communities. And to find, I've heard can I get an amen? To find the courage. People ask me about leaders. I teach leadership. They ask me, I say, I know a lot of that's why they put the thing in my car. I know principled people. I know a lot of smart people. I know a lot of people who are ethical. Oh, they're wonderful. They are smart. I said, but what I find in shortest supply in terms of leadership is courage. It's courage. And so what I would like us to do is, will you please stand up? Come on, this is not just Bev up here. Now they're saying the future's still up there. Because what I want us to do is to get rid of, I don't know where this stuff comes from. We got to get rid of this apathy. We got to get rid of this skepticism. We got to get rid of the cynicism. We got to get rid of it's almost like it's a learned reflex to be a victim, okay? Learned helplessness and hopelessness. We control that. Never let anybody take your passion, your joy, or your purpose. Never. Because that's when you won. So that's it. So we need, you can sit now. but that's what it's all about. That's really about all I had to say. That was the most important thing, and we could just about go to the kid. But this is not a time. We need to research. We need to plan. There's so many folks trying to figure out how to stay under the radar. Okay, it just makes me want to puke. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It does. Oh, well, and this is not a political commercial. Okay, but I don't care. Okay, no. But well, we can't call, see, I was never that enamored. Now I'm really going off script with DEI to begin with. I swear to God, I was never that enamored with DEI. I tell you what I told some folks. I said, look, let me tell you something. If we spent half as much time, stop naming it, we've been affirmative action, we've been civil rights, we've been happy, whatever. So when DEI came out, I was thrilled that people were picking up, we thought, okay, and some did. An unfinished business piece, I said, don't call me about no initiatives, because this is not an initiative. This is, no kidding, serious unfinished business. And the fact that we were getting up, going through this whole big thing about DEI and return on investment. Well, of course, if we have all the voices and the faces in the room, there's going to be better decision-making that takes place. But please, don't talk to me about no daggone ROI, because slavery was actually a ROI too. So if your only reason for doing it is to try to tell me how much more money you're gonna make, you can take it someplace and shove it. Okay. When do we just do what's right? Because it's the right thing to do. And then on top of that, all the good stuff comes to. All the good stuff comes to. So now that I'm completely, so I can just talk all this stuff, but the guy who does our graphics does such a great job. I told him, I said, Sharma, make sure everybody sees everything, okay? I'm not a betting woman, so we got to get through it. We got to give ourselves the courage and never let anybody take it from you. We got to give ourselves the courage to say, how can we do this? Because we got a big nut to crack. And that it's almost not insignificant, but we know what's going on. But the thing about it is, look at it. I got to have radical hospitality. I really do. Because democracy is not for spectators. We got to play it. We got to get out there. And we have whatever's happened because that's what we did. The big we. And so what I've had to come to grips with, I said, Madam, this is not a hanging chair. There are people, and I like to think, and I believe this, despite the news, that there are many more good people in this country, in this world, in this room. And how, everybody got crack. My grandmother used to call them crackheads, okay, you know what I'm saying? She was from New Orleans. She was not really knew I'd be a crackhead. That person, crackhead, no. So everybody's got some folks off. But let's think about it. And so I'm saying, I want to be in rooms where I'm not comfortable, because I want to be able to listen and understand, because that's vitally important. Why do you think the way you think? What am I missing? Because I want to believe, and this one is the one that's going to make me cry at the end. If you do me one favor through this meeting, there is an old Kenyan saying, Maasai warriors, the most respected in Africa, Kasarian Ngara. How are the children? And that traditional response, which is still today, is supporting Ngara. All the children are fine. That is the greeting. And that signifies a community that is healthy, where the most vulnerable are well, all of them. And I would submit to you, I want all the economic development, I want all the fancy stuff and everything, that if we make the investment in people, not betting woman, but that's the best bet, and if we can, at the end of the day, all say, without even equivocating, the children are fine, then I will submit to you that on our leg of the race, we have run a race well run. So this whole thing in terms of people, if I had to make a bet of with all this change, with all the everything, what is the best investment that we can make? It is in our people. Our people are the best asset that we have in this country, that we have in our communities, that we have in our space. And that's why it's so important what we do with all these young people. Now, I want to tell you, this is not a political one, okay, because everybody owns this one. Do you know that we have no national workforce plan? We don't. We got everybody, we got plenty of sectoral ones. The transportation got something they talk about, water got something, communication got something, da-da-da. But there is not, swear to God, there is absolutely no national workforce plan, despite the fact, now it even looks worse, it's even crazier. And in transportation, last set of stats I looked at, 55% of the transportation workers are 45 years of age and older. Okay? That's just in transportation. Okay? But what do we not understand here? If you don't have a plan, it's hard to get there. Okay? And the work is changing, the workforce is changing, the workplace is changing dramatically. And so we can't just have all 50, everybody out there kind of doing their own thing. Stuff should be implemented locally, but we got to have some kind of guiding star and stuff. So the investment in people and why, everybody say I'm so crazy, but I am crazy because I'm going to keep on being crazy. Now, the other thing is that we need a new playbook. This world is going, so we need a new playbook. And let me tell you, this is the cute thing. Oh, I want to come back on the people thing. For all the real smart people in the room, and I didn't make this up, I had a chairman when I was working in New York. And I shall never forget, my grandmother used to say, put a pin in things when you remember them. They were worth remembering. And I'll tell you, his name was Bob Kiley. He's been passed for many years now. And the chairman said that the mark of a really true leader was not just what you left behind, but who you left behind. I never forget that. Never forget that. So that's another one. When you look in the mirror, we look at ourselves in the mirror. Who are we leaving behind? Who have we touched? Who have we succession planned? And I tell people, there's a difference between being a mentor, but be that, navigational guide, and a sponsor and a champion. And sometimes we get stuck in the mentoring thing and they stay mentoring, but then we won't get and from sitting at the table so somebody else can sit there and get the experiences and exposures, not think smart, but what gets you really ready is to be able to actually sit at the table. And in order for people to sit at the table, other people got to get from the table. Okay, so that's that one. So this new playbook that we want is a play. These are all things, just think them to yourself, food for thought. This new playbook, and I got to go because I see my time is coming, is think about this, and I'm going to hurry up and give you these real quick. Okay, these are national infrastructure sectors. This is a little test here, and then I'm going to show you anyway, and I'm going to go to the sustainability goals. But the reason that I go back on this one, we have started doing a much better job because we are so fragmented and siloed, it's ridiculous, okay? We have started doing a much better job planning for what I call emergency, but we don't do a POOT real well in terms of what I call planning for opportunity. Okay, when there's no calamity, when the bridge is not falling down, when it says, could you please put your hand up? And can I get water, energy, transportation, public health, whatever? Can I get you in a room? Do you know who your peers are in these other places? And this new world that we have is interconnected, it is interdependent, it is cross-sectoral, and this craziness and inefficiency just got to stop. Now, I'm not Doge. But really, electrification, do I have the smarts on that? I think if you talk to IBW, CEWD, electric, they tell you we've been working on that stuff for the last 15 years. And so there's a lot of, so what I'm challenging us, Kammy, I'm challenging us, okay, is I would love to see a room one time where we really intentionally went to bring the rest of the party, the folks to the party, the rest of our partners. Because I tell people all the time, people laugh, they say, introducing youth to American infrastructure, Bev, what is that? It's an awareness program. I said, well, let me tell you something. I didn't even know this myself until I got on this presidential thing and I was sitting with the other infrastructure CEOs. I said, there's 16 of them, and they have been established by the federal government for over 40 years. I tell people, name them. Okay? I said, so grown people don't even know what the heck is on. Now, people can argue whether they're the right number, should be more, whatever. But I said, grown people can't even say what they are. And the definition behind this, it goes back to the first Bush, the definition behind it is which services and everything, if they're disrupted, will impact national security and the quality of life for American people. And that's how they came up with them. Now, you can argue there should be other ones on there, but they exist. They're a real thing. And so I could close my ears and hear those CEOs from the other ones saying the same thing we were saying, transportation. Now here's another one where I say we gotta watch ourselves on how we say things. Mobility, sustainability. You don't know how many young people I've talked to who have asked me, they say, now I know where there's a transportation degree program, but could you really tell me where I can go get some of that mobility y'all been talking about? So I asked some GMs at a meeting. I said, no tests, I flunked it too. I said, tell me real quick, what is the difference between transportation and mobility? Lyft, Uber, okay? I said, get it, that's what I'm talking about. So when I start talking about what you connect, it's outcomes. You see, it's outcomes, it's connective tissue. But I'm saying, listen to me, I'm talking to young people, and we're using transportation, we're using mobility, we're using sustainability, we're doing resilience, trying to get the change, the difference between the sustainability and resilience doesn't take as much. But we gotta be on it if we wanna interest people in all this into what are we saying and what does it really mean. And so we tie up with, and this is the beauty here, this is what it's all about. And that's what we help to drive. So anyway, so what we do at AYA, as we do all these crazy things, reimagining normal. We say, oh, we don't want to reimagine normal. We want to go out there and rewrite normal. So we do all kinds. You can have a wristband too, okay? But our young people are going out to reimagine and rewrite normal. I can't say enough the messages. I'll do them very quickly. Community building, community building, community building. And remember this. You used to have to take government or civics when you were in high school or through the grades, you did. Whether I like the Electoral College or don't, I know why we have one. I can still remember the teacher that told me how a bill becomes a law. They don't learn this now. And so it is ever more important, and government has become more and more complicated. Because candidly, we in 20th century institutional armor try to do a 21st century job. That's a whole nother discussion, okay? But it's much more complicated. And so and you got to have the key. I would always tell people, you don't have to give me nothing but the key. If you don't understand how to follow the money and follow the decision making, you can be the most committed people in the world in your community. But it's hard. It's hard. And so this whole community thing and intergenerational is, I love my young people, but intergenerational is where it's at. And that's how you get the institutional knowledge. That's how you get that indigenous transfer stuff. That's how you wind up being able to give respect to the elders and all of that. That's how you wind up getting the beauty of community. And we got to push intergenerational, intergenerational, intergenerational. Nobody sits out. And then what I'd love for Mpact to do, I didn't make this word up, I wish I had, but we want communiversities. We want communiversities everywhere. That's it. Can't you imagine how just wonderful that would be? The basics, follow the money, follow the city. So now we on Youth Voice, and I'm going to sit down. And there's some folks who've been competing very heavily. What we have is a virtual innovation challenge. I can tell you we got Canada's in it. We have local hosts around the country. And I have to do a shout out to Andrew. Where is Andrew? Where is he? He's hiding because he's been one of our national judges. And they're 18 to 25 years of age. This particular part of the programming is 18 to 25 years of age. And they they come up with their solutions for local mobility issues in their community. And when I tell you they are on fire, it is no joke, okay? So here's just a few of them. I took some of them out, the ones from this year. We're gonna start now. These are, and just bear with me. I hope you don't get bored and we've got so many of these. All of them are winners. But when I tell you they are, the children, we got a lot to work on with poverty and everything. But when I tell you they are absolutely amazing, amazing. Okay, so I think you started up for me, right? I push it. I went to the back one. That's the back one. What do I do? That's your.
We started out really with our first programming in 2019 at Cardozo High School, Trans STEM Academy in Washington, D.C. And the core of the program was really around career awareness relative to the critical infrastructure sectors. Critical infrastructure sectors are really employers of almost about 70% of the people across the United States. There is a documented issue in terms of underrepresentation. And if we want to be best in class, which historically we had been and we are not anymore, then we're going to have to really all stop and take that serious look and not only look, but really get out there and move forward. So this was a really big one for us this year, because what we wound up doing was taking all the work we've done in the pilots, and we said we are going to expand. So we expanded the geographic reach. Instead of doing a single program, we wound up with 11 local host organizers and 19 participating organizations. And then we wound up actually building in an innovation challenge, and it's a virtual innovation challenge. And I mean, at the teamwork, the whole 9 yards. I mean, we're young people in each of those local horse organizers actually had their own innovation challenge, major issue, concern, opportunity within their communities. And then they were about the business of developing solutions, their recommended solutions.
On behalf of our team at APTA, I bring you warm greetings. We are all on pins and needles, excited to see your innovative ideas on how to reimagine and rewrite normal.
We're the Bardinators, and we're focused on solving BART's most urgent problems.
Transit agencies like BART move hundreds of thousands of people every day, but most people don't see or understand the work behind the ride.
There are teams solving problems every day, from station operations and communications to engineering and sustainability.
However, transit agencies are facing a major problem. According to the American Public Transportation Association, a majority of the transit workforce is near or at retirement age.
With many positions left unfilled, transit agencies are struggling to find new people to hire. We spoke with Diana Iwata, a human resource administrator at BART, to learn more about the issue.
There are just so many different occupations that we have here available at BART that I just don't know that the average student may be familiar with, because you don't necessarily have an opportunity to learn about those different positions at BART. Right now, about 30%-ish of our population is eligible to retire. That doesn't mean they're going to retire, but they are eligible to walk out the door today. We have 4,200 folks, and about 30% of them are eligible to retire today. In 5 years, that number is going to be, if we don't do anything, that number is potentially going to rise to 55%.
And as longtime employees retire, we need new people ready to lead. But how do we inspire the next generation of transit riders?
So we asked ourselves, how do we make learning about transit carriers fun, accessible, and hands-on?
Introducing Transiteers, a video game where the player becomes a BART intern. Your job? Complete real-life inspired tasks designed as fun mini-games.
You begin as an intern, working with different departments across BART. As you progress, you'll meet characters inspired by real BART employees and discover the wide range of careers that keep the system running. You might sort trash into compost, recycling, and landfill, or reroute a delayed train. Each game is based on how actual BART departments perform their day-to-day operations. Players can toggle between 3 locations: BART HQ, downtown Berkeley, and Ashby Station. Each space holds different tasks and departments.
We built the game to simulate real career pathways within BART, so that kids may one day see what it's like to step into those roles.
As you complete challenges, you level up, from intern to team lead to employee, and learn what it means to grow at BART.
We asked Diane, what do you think about Transiteers?
I think it is a great tool to be able to use. It's a less intimidating way to introduce ideas out there to our broader audience. Maybe again, they'll enjoy the game and they'll hear about it and enjoy playing it. And they've never thought about BART as an employer. And now, because of it, it's a unique way for them to engage.
The BART game is one small experience with big impacts.
Wow,
know, and they have this rival.
Everyday commuters across Toronto feel the strain of a transit system grappling with aging infrastructure and outdated maintenance practices. Delays, closures, and last-minute disruptions have become familiar and frustrating experiences for TTC riders. In 2024, the TTC spent over $300 million on operational costs, a significant portion of which went towards routine network maintenance and emergency repairs. The current maintenance model is rooted in scheduled or reactive responses. Let's learn more about why this is an issue for all transit agencies.
Beyond financial costs and service disruptions, the current approach to maintenance poses serious risks for workers, which is a critical yet often overlooked consequence. Under TTC's predominantly scheduled and reactive maintenance model, crews are frequently entering into the field with limited visibility into real-time infrastructure conditions. 1 in 7 employees indicated that physical safety of the work environment had a major influence on them leaving the TTC. This reactive approach often requires staff to enter hazardous environments during emergency repairs, last-minute inspections as well. The sheer frequency of these entries, often outside of planned maintenance windows, increases exposure to dangerous situations, including live track areas, electrical systems, and unstable tunnel conditions.
So how exactly can we solve for this?
We propose a modular sensor pod that can be mounted directly onto subway cars, transforming every train into a mobile diagnostic system.
Each sensor will have
LiDAR to detect misalignment or deformation, ultrasonic pulses to identify cracks and fatigue, vibration analysis to flag loose or unstable components, infrared sensors to catch overheating or stress points, and HD cameras with AI tagging to detect visual damage or debris.
As each train runs its route, it becomes a data gathering machine, feeding thousands of data points into a centralized dashboard that puts intelligence into the hands of those who need it the most.
I'm Matthew with the CTA's IYAI Innovation Challenge team. Safety, cleanliness, and accessibility are challenges that affect ridership for public transit systems across the nation. At the Chicago Transit Authority, or CTA, we are finding new ways to envision a transformative solution that enhances the overall transit experience for all of our riders across Chicago. The CTA Transit Perks, or CTA TAP, is an online platform designed not only to address these core challenges, but also to add value to your daily commutes. With this all-in-one platform, riders can earn rewards for riding our buses and trains, making your transit journeys more rewarding. And to access the CTA TAP, anyone can scan the QR code on any bus or train to use its features, such as when there's a cleanliness issue on our service. This not only helps you earn points, but also helps the CTA keep its services clean and accessible. And CTA TAP's features and benefits follow wherever you are to empower your CTA experience. And at the end of your day, use the points you earn to redeem cool perks and benefits, such as with one of the CTA's local small business partners, who also support accessible and reliable public transit service for the next time you go out. The CTA TAP is more than just an all-in-one online platform. It brings public transit closer with our communities by involving public participation in keeping our services clean, safe, and dependable. And be rewarded in doing so. Through collaborations with local small businesses across Chicago, the CTA TAP fulfills the CTA's mission in connecting people with Chicago's best local restaurants and events.
Hi, I'm Julie Perez, and I decided to be part of this innovation challenge because I am a everyday rider myself using public transportation.
Hi, my name is Alexander Hergy. I decided to be part of the IYAI Innovation Challenge because I am someone who's always been interested in public transportation.
Hello, my name is Sai Sandhu, and I joined the Innovation Challenge because I'm an engineering student and a lot of my projects revolve around transportation engineering.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Wilsey, and I wanted to join this challenge because I'm really interested in public transportation and thinking about pursuing it in my career.
We have had the opportunity to work with 7 different agencies to come up with our innovative solution to implement in transportation agencies. Currently, the biggest problem with transportation agencies is that they're not giving accurate information to their current riders, which frustrates the rider and makes them believe that transportation agencies don't have a reliable system.
Most of the existing bus prediction models that the agencies that we worked with use only consider two factors. They consider the real-time location of a bus and the time of day. They use those factors to provide real-time estimated time of arrivals for transit vehicles along their route. However, we've experienced how inaccurate those are, and studies from the transit agencies that we've worked with also highlight that. What we chose to do is we thought about other pieces of information we could use to build a more accurate prediction model for real-time live ETAs. In addition to the two pieces of information, the time of day and bus location, we also consider real-time traffic along that route and the bus crowding for each individual bus. These factors give predictions that are significantly more accurate. To highlight the potential of this technology, we chose to implement our new model on one route in San Francisco, the 25 Treasure Island.
With over 100,000 new data points, our interface is much more accurate than it was currently in use. It is easily implementable and cost-effective, so agencies will have no trouble integrating it into their current systems. Our design is equity-focused with a focus on underserved communities. With our innovation, everyone, including those without a smartphone, will be able to rely on more accurate and transparent data.
Our new customer information system will provide 3 new and improved ways to provide customer information for transit riders directly to the riders who don't have it right now. One way that we are planning to do this is by installing new, bigger, and more capable signs at bus stops that currently have only single-color LED signs on them. These new larger LCD displays will be able to show different languages.
On behalf of the Transit Titans team, thank you.
My name is Jermaine Gibson. I am the Director of Apprenticeships and Workforce Development for the Amalgamated Transit Union International. In public transit, I think the last numbers that I took a look at, we attract less than 5% of our industry is made up of 25 and younger. And so going out, engaging them, talking to them, one, about our industry, but two, all the exciting changes that's happening with public transportation. We're making this huge conversion over to zero emission technology, which includes battery electric hydrogen fuel cell. So what that means is now there's more computers in our industry than ever before. That also means that the work that people used to know of as being a bus mechanic is changing. We're going from, diesels and transmissions to propulsion systems that, require a different type of skill set. If you're not going out and you're not talking to the youth and finding out what it is that they're excited about, if you're not finding out what are some of the barriers that's stopping them from being part of that excitement, then you're missing people.
I hope that someday one or more of this group of young students will look back and say, this is when it dawned on me when I figured out what my passion is, what path I wanted my career to take. I knew I wanted to be in engineering, but I didn't know exactly what area of engineering, and it was that program that told me this is where I belonged.
Have you ever felt unsafe while alone at a bus stop, uncomfortable in a ride share, or witnessed an upset customer on a bus?
Plan with us, not for us.
The TTC can always make navigation easier for its riders.
With commitment and a strong baseline, dedicated community partners and candidates, and our city's need for a strong and diverse transit workforce, we will succeed.
And also gives me the opportunity to explore some case studies of ways that other cities have implemented creative solutions to address inequity with public transit.
Let's spread the word about the Mount Hope Bridge.
So on behalf of the CTA, we have shared a lot of information about zero-emission buses, and I really hope you guys enjoyed our video.
Of the RTD youth team, and we're excited for the future.
We're transforming the transit industry, and we're starting with Indigo.
On behalf of the Transit Titans team, thank you.
Please think about that, and how are the children? And how are the children?
Give it up for the incredible Dr. Scott. Woo!
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Diana Mendes, and I'm honored to be the president of the board of directors of Mpact. And I'm not so honored to be the only thing standing between you and your break and time together. So I have two important things to do that I hope you'll bear with me, and we'll try and wrap up on time. The first is to tell you a little bit about the Mark J. Bassett Scholarship that we've launched this year, and introduce the winners so you can cheer them on and get to know them over the next couple days. And the second thing is to wrap up all the incredible things that we have heard this morning. And it should only take like a half an hour to do that, so you'll still make the next session. Just kidding. So without further ado, let's talk about the Mark J. Bassett Design Scholarship. My late husband, Mark, was an architect and an urban designer, very passionate about building community, but disappointed that artists and urban designers and architects were not as integrated into Mpact as he thought they should be. And he reminded me this every year when we went to Mpact. He would tell me, but what about the architects? What about the designers? So this year I'm proud to announce that we have established a scholarship in his honor, because although he left us too soon, his legacy doesn't have to. And I'm very, very pleased to announce the winners of the first year of the scholarship that you see here. Rebecca Cordes-Chan, who is the executive director of the Friends of Rail Park in Philadelphia. Rebecca, if you're here, please stand and be recognized. I think they're all here. Thank you for being here. Faith Hall, who is an extraordinary community planner with a long career of service throughout federal government, is currently with FHWA. Thank you, Faith. Mark, like Dr. Scott, is very committed to youth and the future, so it's fitting that our next recipient is a student, Zach Ward, who's studying at the University of Toronto. Zach, thank you for being here. And he was committed to teaching and mentoring, and so we have a scholarship slot for academia, and we're thrilled to have Michelle Zuniga, who is an assistant professor at UNC Charlotte. Please stand and be recognized. We thank you for your commitment to Mpact, and we're excited about the new ideas and fresh perspectives that you will bring. So in terms of what an incredible morning we've had, right? I heard a lot of calls to action, and so what I want to do is just summarize those calls to action from our speakers, starting with Councilor Christine Lewis. And her call to action was, this is a leadership moment for us all. It's all related. We have to get integrated solutions. And if we are just working in our own areas, we are limiting our potential. So it's about reaching across interests to get integrated solutions. We then heard an enthusiastic welcome from TriMet General Manager Sam Desue, and his call to action was that we're here to share knowledge, to recharge, advance what we can do to make a difference in our communities, and keep believing in ourselves and what we can do. Mayor Keith Wilson, a first-timer, so all you first-timers, you're in great company with the mayor, and he's a passionate believer in transit. And he challenged us. I had a lot of challenges, so I'm going to use a little artistic license here. He gave us a lot to do. But he warned us that and reminded us that to accomplish amazing things that seem impossible, we need to be relentless and not get disheartened. We need to innovate and have a vision, even when that innovation involves looking to the past to create a better future. And we do this because investing in transit is transformational. And we have to remember we can't fall behind. We have to stay ahead and continue to transform. And we can all believe in a future where you don't need a car to be successful, and transit is a foundational tool for that. Congressman Blumenauer, who Councilor Christine reminded us that we've all been working for Earl, whether we know it or not. And Earl, it has been an honor to do so. Promising us the real scoop, he encouraged us to reaffirm our goals is still to create livable communities by empowering people to create a sustainable future. The goal is to give people choices, and that we will not and cannot be deterred. We need to focus on what we can control and where we can make a difference and be courageous in our efforts to do that. And then the amazing Dr. Scott, so many challenges. She started with small challenges by telling us what Mpact and Rail Volution have meant to her and what it can mean to you. It can be a place where you can focus on community outcomes, and that's what matters. It's not just the built transportation improvements, it's the outcomes of those improvements. She invited us to expand our professional network and be multidisciplinary when we do that. Don't just talk to other people who do the same thing that you do while you're here. Reach out. Hey, talk to an architect even. You never know where that might lead. She challenged us to embrace new ways of thinking and to learn and share and grow with a community of practice that takes courage and commitment to elevate communities for all. And she reminded us, importantly, that the future is now. Tomorrow happened, folks. There's this urgency. And it's urgent that we believe in the power of one and don't be a victim. Again, that theme, do not be deterred. Have courage. Never let anyone take your joy, your passion, or your purpose. And the best investment in doing that is the investment that we make in our people and in each other and collaborating to build stronger communities. And think about that in all you do. Ask yourself, when you've done your work, after you've made your decisions, when you look at the outcomes of your efforts, can you truly say that the children are fine? And so my final words to you before you get to enjoy each other's company and the rest of this amazing conference is to have courage, because you matter. You will make a difference. Little differences, big differences, they all matter. You are the future. So let's go out there and make it happen. Thank you for being here.